I thought I was just being a decent human being. I had no idea that one simple act of kindness would change my life forever. The rain hammered against the windshield as I guided my car through the dark streets, my knuckles white against the steering wheel. In the passenger seat, Marcus slumped against the window, mumbling incoherently about quarterly reports and someone named Jenkins who apparently couldn't format a spreadsheet to save his life. The smell of whiskey and regret filled my Honda Civic, and I cracked the window despite the downpour, letting the cold November air wash over us both. This wasn't how I'd planned to spend my Friday night. 20 minutes earlier, I'd been packing up my desk at Crawford & Associates, looking forward to a quiet evening with leftover pizza and whatever mindless show Netflix recommended. Then I'd heard the commotion from the break room, loud laughter, breaking glass, and beneath it all, Marcus's voice, louder and more unsteady than I'd ever heard it. Marcus Chen was the guy everyone knew but nobody really knew. He'd been with the firm for 8 years, always arrived before everyone else, always left after the lights went out. We'd exchanged maybe 100 words in the 2 years I'd worked there, most of them revolving around the coffee maker or copies at the printer. He was competent, quiet, invisible in the way that middle-aged men in middle management positions often become. The kind of person you'd struggle to describe to a police sketch artist despite seeing them 5 days a week. But tonight, Marcus was anything but invisible. Tonight, he was a mess. "Can't go home like this," he'd slurred when I found him slumped against the wall, his tie askew, his usually immaculate shirt stained with something that looked like coffee but smelled decidedly alcoholic. "Linda, she can't see me like this." The few remaining coworkers had scattered quickly, suddenly very interested in their phones and their own weekend plans. I understood the instinct. Getting involved in someone else's crisis is complicated. It's messy. It's the kind of thing that follows you, that creates obligations and awkward Monday morning conversations. I should have walked away too. I had every reason to. We weren't friends. I didn't owe him anything. But something in his voice, the raw desperation, the shame that sobered him just enough to know how far he'd fallen, stopped me. "Come on," I'd said, pulling his arm over my shoulder. "Let's get you home." Now, as I navigated the unfamiliar suburbs 40 minutes outside the city, I was questioning that decision. Marcus had given me his address in fragments, broken directions interrupted by long silences and occasional bursts of rambling confession. I'd learned more about his life in 30 minutes than I had in 2 years. His daughter Emily was applying to colleges, his son Nathan had quit the soccer team, his mother had Alzheimer's and didn't recognize him anymore. "You married, Jake?" he asked suddenly, his voice clearer than it had been all night. "Not yet," I replied, keeping my eyes on the GPS. "Got close once, but timing wasn't right." "Timing?" Marcus laughed bitterly. "It's never the right time for anything, is it? Never the right time to tell your wife you got passed over for promotion again. Never the right time to admit you're drowning. Never the right time to ask for help." I didn't know what to say to that, so I said nothing. Sometimes silence is the kindest response. The house, when we finally reached it, was a modest 2-story colonial with a porch light glowing warm against the rain. Lights blazed from almost every window, and I could see shadows moving behind the curtains. The lawn was well maintained, flower boxes hung beneath the windows despite the season, and a basketball hoop stood sentinel in the driveway. It looked like hope, like the kind of home that appeared in furniture commercials and family sitcoms. It looked nothing like the dark apartment I was returning to. Getting Marcus out of the car and up the walkway was an awkward dance of supporting weight and navigating puddles. Halfway to the door, it opened, and a woman appeared, backlit by the warm interior light. Linda Chen was smaller than I'd imagined, barely 5'3", with graying hair pulled back in a practical ponytail and glasses that had slipped down her nose. She wore jeans and an oversized sweater with paint stains on the sleeves. Her face was lined with worry, but when she saw Marcus stumbling toward her, something complicated flickered across her features: relief, anger, exhaustion, love. All of it, all at once. "I'm so sorry," I started, but she was already moving, taking Marcus's other arm with a practiced efficiency that suggested this wasn't the first time. "Inside," she said quietly. "Before the neighbors see." We maneuvered him through the door and onto a worn but comfortable couch in the living room. Marcus immediately curled onto his side, mumbling something that might have been an apology or might have been a grocery list. It was impossible to tell. Linda disappeared for a moment and returned with a blanket, which she draped over him with a tenderness that made my chest ache. Then she turned to me, and I braced myself for anger, for accusations, for being associated with whatever had led to this moment. Instead, she gestured toward the kitchen. Coffee. The kitchen was the heart of the home, I could tell immediately. Children's artwork covered the refrigerator, a schedule was magneted to the side with practices and appointments and reminder notes. A half-finished puzzle sprawled across the breakfast nook table, and the smell of something baked, banana bread, maybe, lingered in the air. Linda poured 2 cups of coffee without asking how I took mine and sat down at the table, gesturing for me to do the same. For a long moment, we sat in silence, the only sound the rain against the windows and Marcus's soft snoring from the other room. I should explain, she said finally, her hands wrapped around her mug. Today would have been our daughter Sarah's 21st birthday. The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning I didn't yet understand. Would have been, I asked gently. Linda's eyes filled with tears, but her voice remained steady. We lost her 4 years ago. Drunk driver ran a red light. She was 19, home from college for the summer, out with friends. She paused, took a sip of coffee. Marcus was supposed to pick her up that night, but he got stuck in a late meeting. She called an Uber instead. My stomach dropped. Mrs. Chen, Linda, she corrected. And I'm not telling you this for sympathy. I'm telling you because I need you to understand why what you did tonight matters more than you know. She reached across the table and took my hand, and I was startled by the strength in her grip. Marcus never forgave himself, she continued. He works those late hours because he can't stand being home where Sarah isn't. He takes on every project, volunteers for every impossible deadline, because if he's busy enough, maybe he won't have to feel it. And every year on her birthday, he goes to her favorite bar, the one where she and her friends used to use fake ids, and he drinks until he can't remember why he's there. Tears were streaming down her face now, but she didn't let go of my hand. Usually, he calls me when it gets bad, and I go get him. But this year, his phone died. I've been calling his work, calling hospitals, imagining. She trailed off, shaking her head. When I saw your car pull up, saw you helping him, saw that someone had cared enough to make sure he got home safe. Her voice broke, and she covered her face with her free hand. I sat there, stunned, my own eyes burning with tears I didn't know I had in me. You gave him what he couldn't give Sarah, Linda whispered. You made sure he got home safe. You didn't have to. You didn't know him, didn't know us, had no reason to get involved. But you did anyway. I couldn't leave him there, I said, my voice rough. It seemed like the right thing to do. The right thing, Linda repeated, and she laughed through her tears. Do you know how many people walked past him tonight? How many coworkers who've known him for years just kept walking? I thought about the break room, the people who'd scattered. I couldn't judge them. I'd almost done the same thing. Linda released my hand and stood, walking to a drawer by the refrigerator. She pulled out a photograph and brought it back to the table. In it, a young woman with Marcus's eyes and Linda's smile beamed at the camera, wearing a graduation gown and holding a diploma. This is Sarah, Linda said softly. This was her high school graduation. She wanted to be a teacher. Elementary school, because she said that's when kids still believe the world is magical, and she wanted to help keep that magic alive as long as possible. I looked at the photo, at this young woman whose whole future had been stolen in a moment of someone else's carelessness. She looks like she was an amazing person. She was, Linda said. And she believed in kindness. Random acts of kindness, she used to call them. She'd pay for the car behind her in the drive-thru, leave encouraging notes in library books, volunteer at the animal shelter every Saturday. Linda's smile was bittersweet. She believed that small acts of goodness could change the world. She set the photo on the table between us, and we both looked at it. When people ask me what they can do, how they can help, I never know what to say, Linda continued. Casseroles and sympathy cards are lovely, but they don't bring her back. Nothing brings her back. But what you did tonight, making sure someone's father, someone's husband came home safe, that's everything. That's the world Sarah believed in. I swallowed hard, trying to find words adequate to the moment and coming up empty. Linda stood again and walked to a cabinet, pulling out a small wooden box. When she opened it, I saw it was filled with colorful paper stars, dozens of them, maybe hundreds. Sarah used to make these, she explained, picking one up. Origami stars. She'd make them when she was stressed or happy or bored, and she'd hide them around the house, in our pockets, in our lunch bags. She said each one was a wish for something good. Linda selected a blue star and held it out to me. I want you to have this. Keep it in your car, your wallet, wherever you'll see it. And when you do, remember that kindness matters. That showing up for people matters. That you matter. I took the star, my hand shaking slightly. It was light as air, impossibly delicate. Thank you, I managed to say, though the words felt insufficient. Linda walked me to the door, and as I stepped out into the rain, she called my name. I turned back. Jake, she said, framed in the warm light of her home. Thank you for bringing him back to me. Thank you for being the person who didn't walk away. I drove home through the rain with that small blue star on my dashboard, catching the light from passing street lamps. I thought about Marcus, about Sarah, about Linda and all the weight she carried with such grace. I thought about how close I'd come to walking away, to minding my own business, to being just another person who didn't want to get involved. The next Monday, Marcus was back at work, impeccably dressed and professionally distant. He stopped by my desk mid-morning, set down a cup of coffee, made exactly the way I liked it, though I'd never told him, and met my eyes. Thank you, he said simply. I nodded, understanding that some things didn't need more words than that. But something had shifted in me that rainy Friday night. I started seeing opportunities I'd been blind to before. The elderly neighbor who struggled with her groceries, the new employee who ate lunch alone, the homeless veteran on my corner who everyone pretended not to see. Small acts, nothing heroic, just showing up. Just not walking away. 6 months later, I got a letter in the mail. Inside was a photograph, Marcus, Linda, and their 2 children standing in front of a park bench with a small plaque on it. In memory of Sarah Chen, who believed in kindness. And tucked into the letter was another origami star, this one yellow like sunshine. We started a scholarship in Sarah's name, Linda wrote. For students who demonstrate exceptional kindness to others. We thought you should know that your actions that night inspired us to find a way to keep her legacy alive. Sometimes the people we help end up helping us even more. Thank you for reminding us that there's still good in the world. I keep both stars in my car now, clipped to my sun visor where I see them every day. They remind me that we're all one bad night away from needing help, and one small choice away from being someone's answered prayer. They remind me that kindness isn't always convenient, but it's always worth it. And sometimes, late at night when I'm tired and it would be easier to look away, to mind my own business, to let someone else be the hero, I reach up and touch those delicate paper stars. I think about Sarah, who believed the world could be magical. I think about Linda, who thanked me in a way I'll never forget. Not with words or gestures, but by showing me that what we do for others echoes far beyond what we can see. I dropped my drunk coworker home that rainy Friday night thinking I was just doing a decent thing. But Linda Chen taught me that decency is never just anything. It's everything. It's how we honor the people we've lost. It's how we become the people we want to be. It's how we make the world a little more magical, one small act at a time. And that's a lesson I'll carry with me forever, light as a paper star, heavy as hope itself.